In the shadowy corridors of power, a seismic rumor is shaking the very foundations of global politics. Whispers echo through government offices and political backrooms, hinting at a dramatic shift that could reshape international alliances for years to come. Recently leaked documents suggest that Mexico is engaged in secret high-level talks with China, exploring the possibility of joining the influential BRICS bloc. These discussions, shrouded in confidentiality, have caught the attention of diplomats and analysts worldwide. For decades, Mexico has been a steadfast economic ally of the United States, its prosperity and policies closely intertwined with its northern neighbor. The U.S.-Mexico relationship has been a cornerstone of North American stability, with trade, security, and culture deeply connected across the border. Now, however, Mexico is exploring a path toward a new coalition of rising powers, signaling a potential pivot away from its traditional alliances. The BRICS group, comprising Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, has become a magnet for nations seeking greater influence on the world stage. The implications of this possible realignment are profound, sending shockwaves through Washington's political establishment. Lawmakers and officials are scrambling to assess what this could mean for America's influence in the region. While the leaked memos stop short of confirming a formal BRICS application, they do outline a framework for strategic cooperation and participation in BRICS financial initiatives. This includes discussions on joint investment projects, technology sharing, and alternative payment systems. For a nation so deeply integrated with the U.S., even considering this move signals a desire for greater autonomy and a more diversified foreign policy. It's a bold step that could redefine Mexico's role in the global economy. Mexico's leaders are openly questioning the long-term benefits of exclusive reliance on Washington, weighing the risks of a political firestorm at home against the promise of a more independent and assertive future on the world stage. The timing is critical. BRICS is expanding rapidly, inviting new members and increasing its global clout, while the U.S. faces political uncertainty and shifting priorities at home and abroad. These secret talks raise urgent questions about trust, loyalty, and the future of the North American partnership. Allies and rivals alike are watching closely, aware that the outcome could alter the balance of power. Reports point to discreet meetings between Mexican and Chinese officials, focusing on integrating Mexico into BRICS projects, especially those aimed at reducing dependence on the US dollar and building new economic bridges across continents. This detail has set off alarm bells in Washington, as Mexico considers joining a movement to challenge the financial architecture that has long underpinned American power and global dominance. The whispers from Mexico City are no longer just rumors, they are now the unmistakable sound of tectonic plates shifting beneath the global order, signaling that a new era of alliances and rivalries may be about to begin. To truly grasp Mexico's potential pivot on the world stage, it's essential to look beyond its borders and understand the forces reshaping global power dynamics. At the heart of this transformation is the BRICS bloc, whose collective influence is rapidly growing and challenging the status quo. What started as a simple acronym for four emerging economies, Brazil, Russia, India, and China, has evolved into a formidable alliance now spanning Asia, Africa, and Latin America, with South Africa joining and more countries expressing interest. BRICS is united by a vision to create a multipolar world order. This means challenging decades of Western dominance by building alternative structures for global governance, trade, and finance. Central to this mission is the push for de-dollarization, conducting trade in local currencies to reduce reliance on the US dollar and, by extension, US economic leverage. By promoting parallel payment systems, digital currencies, and currency swaps, BRICS members aim to insulate themselves from the impact of US sanctions and unpredictable monetary policy shifts. The bloc's new development bank is a key pillar, funding infrastructure and development projects with fewer political strings attached, making BRICS increasingly attractive to nations seeking alternatives to the IMF and World Bank. As BRICS expands its reach, it's not just an economic powerhouse but also a diplomatic coalition, speaking with a more unified and influential voice on pressing global issues. For countries like Mexico, joining or aligning with BRICS presents a credible and enticing alternative to the traditional Western-led order, opening new doors for economic growth, political influence, and strategic partnerships. Mexico's economy is deeply intertwined with the United States, its northern neighbor and largest trading partner. The border between the two countries is not just a line on a map, but a lifeline for millions of people and businesses on both sides, Nearly 80% of Mexico's exports head north, fueling a vast manufacturing sector that provides jobs and economic growth. From auto parts to electronics, Mexican factories hum with activity, their products destined for American consumers. This close relationship has driven decades of growth, but it also leaves Mexico exposed. Any shift in U.S. policy, whether tariffs, trade agreements, or political tensions, can send shockwaves through the Mexican economy, making stability elusive. Meanwhile, China has rapidly emerged as Mexico's second-largest trading partner, yet the relationship is far from equal. Mexico imports far more from China than it exports, resulting in a significant trade deficit and raising concerns about long-term economic balance. In recent years, Chinese firms have begun investing heavily in Mexican factories, seeking to use Mexico as a strategic base to access North American markets and sidestep U.S. tariffs. This influx of investment brings both opportunity and new challenges. As a result, Mexico finds itself in a precarious position, caught between U.S. suspicion of Chinese motives and China's growing economic ambitions in the region. Washington pressures Mexico to limit Chinese influence, warning of security risks, while Beijing offers promises of investment, infrastructure, and new markets. Every diplomatic move is scrutinized by both giants, forcing Mexico to walk a delicate tightrope, balancing its own interests while managing the expectations of two superpowers. Against this tense backdrop, secret BRICS talks offer Mexico a rare opportunity, a chance to gain leverage and demonstrate that it has options beyond simply being a junior partner to the United States. Aligning with BRICS could strengthen Mexico's negotiating hand, signaling to Washington and Beijing alike that its loyalty and partnership cannot be taken for granted. The pressures of balancing two superpowers make the BRICS overture not just attractive, but potentially transformative for Mexico's future. For Mexico, it's about finding a third way, a path that allows it to assert its independence and shape its own destiny on the world stage. The stakes have never been higher, and every decision now could redefine Mexico's place between the giants. News of Mexico's secret talks with China has rattled Washington. Former President Trump calls it a betrayal, threatening a 60% tariff on Mexican goods if Mexico moves closer to BRICS. The current White House, though more diplomatic, shares the concern, seeing this as a challenge to U.S. influence in its own backyard. The idea of a neighbor aligning with America's rivals is a nightmare for U.S. foreign policy. Washington's likely response a mix of diplomatic pressure and economic threats. But this approach risks backfiring. Bullying could push Mexico further toward BRICS. BRICS offers partnership, not coercion, a stark contrast to U.S. threats. The U.S. must choose win Mexico back with respect or risk driving it away. The BRICS talks are a wake-up call. Even the closest neighbors can't be assumed permanent allies. While the U.S. threatens, China courts Mexico with opportunity. Beijing offers multi-billion-dollar credit lines for infrastructure with fewer strings than Western lenders. Chinese companies, from automakers to renewable energy firms, are eager to invest, bringing capital, technology, and jobs. For Mexico, it's a chance to diversify its economy and reduce reliance on the U.S.-China's pitch a win-win partnership and a seat at the table of a new global order. BRICS membership offers Mexico prestige and influence, appealing to its national pride. China's approach is soft power, attraction, not force. The contrast is clear. The U.S. demands loyalty. China offers partnership. Mexico now holds a powerful negotiating position between two superpowers. Mexico's BRICS pivot is a calculated move for greater sovereignty. Decades of U.S. dominance have brought economic benefits, but at the cost of autonomy. Over-reliance on the U.S. is risky. A recession up north can devastate Mexico. Stronger ties with BRICS could open new markets and attract diverse investment, making Mexico's economy more resilient. There's also an ideological alignment. Many Mexican leaders support a multipolar world and reform of global institutions. Even if Mexico never joins BRICS, the talks send a message. Its loyalty isn't guaranteed. This is leverage to demand better terms from Washington. Mexico is ready to chart its own course, seeking partnership, not dependency. If Mexico formalizes a BRICS partnership, the impact would ripple across North America. The USMCA trade agreement could be thrown into chaos, with supply chains disrupted and new tariff wars looming. American automakers reliant on Mexican plants would face higher costs and fierce competition from Chinese firms using Mexico as a base. Politically, a BRICS-aligned Mexico would give China and Russia a foothold on America's doorstep, raising security concerns and risking a new era of tension. The spirit of North American cooperation could collapse, replaced by suspicion and fragmentation. The US faces a choice-deepened partnership with Mexico or risk a fractured continent. The outcome depends on Washington's response, open hand or clenched fist. Mexico's decision could either fortify or shatter the North American bloc. The world stands at a turning point, and Mexico's talks with BRICS are a symptom of global transformation. Will Mexico formally align with BRICS, accelerating the fragmentation of the global economy? Or will it use this moment to negotiate a stronger, more balanced partnership with the US? The outcome depends on whether Washington chooses diplomacy or coercion. Some experts say Mexico's US ties are too deep to break. Others see BRICS momentum as irresistible. The offers from both sides in the coming months will shape the future. What happens next in Mexico City could redefine the world order, and the world is watching.